I signed a petition very recently about Bob, who's in a care home in Scotland, in Lockerbie, called Burntfoot. Lockerbie, of course, is the place where the Pan Am plane went down 20 plus years ago. And I signed a petition because it's a guy of 87 with a dog who's went into the nursing home, and they were aware of the dog because they let it come in. Went in there with his wife, and she died 2 years ago. Now, I phoned up the care home, and I chose to use a different name. I called myself Michael Angel, because Michael is the archangel who strikes people down. And I had a half-hour conversation, which is in a video that I will be posting in a bit. But after signing the petition and finding out that he'd been given a tenancy, having a conversation with the care home, which is a surreal conversation, to put it mildly, because they are planning to kick him out at the age of 87 when he's grieving following the death of his wife, when he has a legal tenancy given to him by the home because they can't handle the dog. It's a beautiful dog. So I felt signing a petition wasn't really sufficient, because you can sit in your armchair and sign petitions until the cows come home, but that doesn't stop Nazism. What stops Nazism is stirring things up a bit. So I decided to write a letter, because my aim in these situations is to create a win-win, a situation where what happens is that there's an outcome that is for the benefit of everybody. I chose to write a letter to the Chief Executive, and I sent it off last Friday. It took me several hours to write the letter, and it's been carefully written. It's stating the bloody obvious. It's trying to get a business that has got hundreds of thousands of people's attention to listen and think of an outcome which is pretty easy to find, that will create the best possible outcome for everybody. And I gave them until Tuesday to respond to me, which is reasonable, really. I mean, at the very least, you'd think when you get a letter from somebody, you would write back at least and acknowledge receiving it. But today, in today's world, so many people live in cloud cuckoo land. They live in some sort of mad asylum world where whatever anybody does, instead of facing it, their head goes right up their arse and they just go on the same old way. So I decided to read the letter out, and I'm going to post the video that I produce, and I decided to get quite a bit angrier, because it's time we all got a bit angrier about this sort of thing. Because how can you be a care home and call yourself care if actually you're going to kick out 87-year-olds who are grieving when they have legal contracts? This is the slippery slope towards Nazism, and it has to be stopped. So, reading this out in the hope that this video may grab a bit of attention to get people out of watching Home and Away and other crap on television, playing fucking computer games, and recognise that the country is on the edges of going down into the sewer. Because we have to do more. We have to stand up, and we have to be prepared to write letters to the companies, inundate them with letters. We have to be prepared to phone them so they can't operate their business. Then they'll start listening. That applies to anything. It's quite easy, really. if enough people start to do it, it'll result in change. But if we don't do it, well, if World War III comes, which it may well do soon if we don't start to do this, we'll fucking well deserve it. Because we didn't care enough. So here you are, here's the letter. The man's name is, by the way, Best. I don't say anything best about somebody who can't even reply to a letter, who wants to kick people out of a nursing home because they can't deal with a dog. So here we are. Dear Mr. Best, like many people, I have become aware of the plight of a man called Bob, who at the age of 87 faces the possibility of being evicted from what is now his home, and should be for the rest of his life. I find it hard to conceive that we live in a country so callous that something that happened in Nazi Germany and Stalin's Russia could possibly happen here, that with little imagination that a humane and a decent solution could not be found. I must ask you, if it were your father who had moved into your beautiful home with his wife and dog, had seen her die 2 years ago, or you knew someone who had, and you read about what is happening or heard about it, what exactly would you do about it? Would you think it was decent and reasonable to effectively kill a man by removing his closest remaining companion or evicting him as the Gestapo did to Jews? Would it not be a form of manslaughter, and would you consider it even to be legal? Might it not be worthy of a test case in court, reported on the front pages of newspapers around the world, as my late father's blush with the worst side of medicine was in 1984? Now, I'm surprised that a lawyer, somewhere out there amongst all the fucking lawyers raking in the fucking money, hasn't come up and thought, Christ, we could get some good publicity if we have this test case. Where is the fucking lawyer that's going to do this? Your company has gained a great deal of publicity over this. Whether it ends well or badly for your company is in your hands. I've spoken to the home and I understand the difficulties the dog is causing. The fact, however, remains your predecessor allowed an elderly man, his wife and dog, into your home, and it then became home to all of them for life. That is pretty clear, isn't it? At the age of 87, you can't just kick somebody out of their home. You gave him a tenancy in his mid-80s following her death. Your company policy before was to allow dogs. In my opinion, you cannot change the rules for him legally, let alone morally, because you are a care home. You care for people. Even if you do for new residents, which I personally believe would be insane. Surely it's better to find a far better screening process, bearing in mind as a business you have a relatively small number of places to offer, and it is up to you to decide who enters your home. If you get it wrong, well, I don't believe you have the right to change your mind, as the mistake was yours in business. You're dealing with people, not dead things. If I had a tenant I turned out to dislike, I couldn't legally evict them for disliking them, thank God. Would you exclude Simon Cowell's dog or Jelly Halliwell's if, say, a stroke brought one of them to consider your homes? You are not running just a business, you are offering a final home to people, other than a coffin. You cannot move goalposts, you have to find a more intelligent and compassionate solution. I fought through many challenges on a risky journey building a record company and other very long-term businesses. I've learned that when a difficult situation arises, there is always an imaginative, creative way to deal with it, which creates a win-win for all, as long as you take the longer view. I'm a business consultant. Here are some suggestions for turning this into a win-win. 1. Find a good dog trainer and pay them to sort out the issues with the dog. Consider inviting elderly prospective residents to the training in the beautiful grounds of your home as part of a screening process to see whether they'll fit in with your home. Sit your existing residents outside and do it on a beautiful Scottish day. Why not invite the press? Why pay for advertising if the press can offer it free? 2. Hire a young person as an apprentice at the minimum wage who wants to care for others, who's had a challenging life, loves dogs and has a feel for them. There's a lot of people in this country who need help before we donate £3 a month to some fucking country elsewhere. Hire a room for him outside the home and assign him to Bob as a friend, and to walk his dog and do the things that are necessary to sort out the issues. A man like Bob has much to give to a damaged teen in the presence as a presence of a teen and a trained dog with a real personality, as clearly his dog has, who can be mothered by and breathe life into residents, will keep them in better health and render them easier to manage than if they are waiting to die. Give Bob a purpose and help turn around the lives of 2 people rather than destroy the life of 1. 3. No one wants to step in dog shit. Now the problem is the dog is shitting, which sometimes they will do, but it's easily handled if the staff are competent, have a brain, and there are enough of them. But with a little will and some investment in the short term, the problem is easily sorted to bring massive business benefits in the long term. Now today I find many businesses that I talk to can't seem to think in a business-like way. They're so used to living in a country that's like the Soviet Union, they've forgotten how to run a business with imagination and creativity. What do you feel would be the outcome for your company if your company policy brought in to solve a short-term problem leads to reports in the national press on the front pages in a short while, because your actions lead to the death of a man and a dog that has already won the hearts of many? Will you enjoy having your picture on the front pages of newspapers be called a murderer and having your homes branded the most uncaring in the world? That's what will happen, isn't it? If he dies, Bob. What will it do to your family? Do you want to attract every nutter in the world? Do you want bricks and worse through the windows of your home? As another Scottish idiot, Fred Goodwin, whose madness, that's the idiot from NatWest who nearly bankrupt the country and nearly bankrupt the world, had to endure. Do you really want to be a pariah for the rest of your life? Do you feel this will be good for business, or will it lead to bankruptcy within a remarkably short time, never taking another new resident again and accelerating the deaths of your existing residents? Because dogs with personality, even ones that shit and piss on the floor, are better for well-being for the elderly than none, and have been shown to be. This is a fact. Dogs are good for old people. They give them a purpose. What kind of fucking care home can't work that out? What kind of fucking establishment is it? Is it a psychiatric hospital or a fucking prison? You have a dog who is now a celebrity. He is, well, a great business asset. You have an elderly resident who's won the hearts of large numbers of people, and you want to kick them out? What kind of fucking idiotic business could think this way? That would make you the biggest fool in the world, would it not? And a businessman of breathtaking stupidity. Can you not see that you can turn the huge publicity you've received into the biggest gift a business could ever be given, because all the publicity handled sensibly with compassion and wisdom is good publicity and can become the biggest opportunity you can be given from a business point of view, one that will inspire most of your staff, most of your residents, and the whole country potentially. Christ, what nutters they are. Is it really so difficult to reverse a half thought out and very bad policy and say, sorry, we made a mistake, one that we are going to undo? How difficult is it really to say sorry, and why can't businesses fucking do it? What an opportunity to hold a press conference and win the hearts of the world and the grounds of your beautiful home by becoming human again. How much is the advertising worth for years to come from a business point of view? Your company is under a spotlight, and a spotlight that will soon, if you continue on your existing path, become the brightest and biggest spotlight there has ever been, and focused entirely on you and your currently deplorable company worldwide. Is it not possible to bring down your company's ego enough to create a simple change of heart and turn your homes into the most sought after in the country, if not the world, by putting compassion and care above money, lazy, half-thought company policies and short-term convenience? It is easy to see this as an opportunity to create a business win by increasing demand for your homes in the long term, and therefore the cost, which will allow you to choose differently in the future. There's a video that I'm currently uploading. It is a very powerful, and it is not in any way sentimental. It is on a currently quiet page which is receiving no publicity from me yet. It will remain there, or it can be removed in place of the video that will incorporate some of the first, may have a positive interview with you, an interview with a happy Bob, and a meeting between us as a family and our dog Lazarus, who is remarkably like Darkie, that's Bob's dog, in many ways, even the same colour and expression. I can make a video without any swirling that is really nice and sees a nice side of me, but by Christ, if these people carry on down the same path, I'm on a different path, because I have fucking had enough of this country's way of not caring and of the apathy that leads to things like this and is sending us on a road inexorably towards a totalitarian fucking state, if not world. Do you want to live in such a fucking world? Do something about it. The second video can have a beautiful, happy ending. It may even go on television. You'll profit from it for years. Or alternatively, I can send a link to the first video to the media around the world. I can send this letter to national newspapers in the most dog-loving country in the world. How can a business be so stupid as to recognise that if people snap over a dog, Christ knows what will happen. I could put it in the video on my various social media sites to tens of thousands of followers. I am the grandson of the designer of the peace symbol, a lifelong pacifist. He was imprisoned for his beliefs in the war. Fighting for what is really, really right is very deep in my heart and in my blood. Not least because this beautiful house I live in, which I went out on a bloody great limb 32 years ago to buy, which was a derelict wreck, which I have lovingly restored and fought to keep at great personal risk from being evicted from 7 times by callous, uncaring people, mortgage company people who actually behave in the same way. This is what gives me the passion that you are now experiencing. So, peace and the values that it encompasses, values such as decency, fairness and freedom, come not by signing petitions, but by fighting for them. If you don't fight for things like this, you will get to fight in a fucking war, because this is where wars start, letting this sort of thing happen. This is how we get there. Because fighting long before a war comes stops the fucking war. Do you get it? Peace and the values that it encompasses, values such as decency, fairness and freedom, come not by signing petitions, but I have found that the pen is indeed mightier and far preferable to the sword. The choice is yours, and all of yours. Do something more than signing a petition. Take the time to write a letter, turn off the television, show you care, because there but for the grace of God go you if you don't. Every day this hangs over Bob increases the risk of the stress killing him, and then the worst outcome for you and your family, and I might even say the country, is inevitable. Whatever I may or may not do. That outcome will destroy your life and the lives of your family. Is that what you want, you fucking idiot? I hope you will decide wisely. As soon as this video is uploaded, I will email the link. I recommend watching it with your family over the weekend. Let us hope that no one sees it and it starts a very fast journey to going viral around the world. I have put yours sincerely, Jeremy Holton, a businessman, music producer, mentor, business consultant, artist, author and poet in a currently lost and insane world where far too many people do not care, escape into unreality, drink themselves to death, fucking play computer games and watch shit on television rather than doing something useful like helping this man who represents all of us. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the swearing, but I feel it necessary to do so.